Now, on the chopping block, we talk about game releases and reviews and rumors and all that kind of stuff a lot more than we actually talk about people, but on occasion, we do discuss prominent figures in the gaming community. A couple months back, I think it was, we talked about PewDiePie briefly in a situation that happened with him. And I just watched a video about DSP Gaming, and the immediate impression I had was just how much things can change over the years. Do you remember um, back when we first got into YouTube, and we were watching guys like Seamus and DSP, and how Phil was the man back in the day? I guess you could call it camcorder era Phil.
Right, right. Yeah, it was back in the era where the quality sucked, but it's all we had at the time. And these guys, did what they could with the equipment that they had, and they were still entertaining. And DSP being one of them. And we first discovered him. I guess it was like on a what was it? The Bill S.978 bit.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was, and it was
Yeah,
about
the Protect
what was that?
IP.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. And we liked Phil back in the day. You know what I mean? And he had some awesome, like, well, we talked about one of his walkthroughs that we remembered was his Resident Evil 4
Yeah, I love that one,
walkthrough.
and that's one of my
And
favorite games. You know.
yeah, absolutely. And remember when we did the co-op with Rambo?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
man.
and that and the thing is, being a fan from so long ago, when you see these things today, if you've never heard of the guy, you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, is this just a bunch of people coming after him, being malicious? Because the video I saw was a compilation, not just one isolated instance,
Right.
but a reoccurring trend of people communicating with him and basically just trashing him and calling up all these things from his past, and not necessarily fabricated things either. It's not like they're just on there saying random nonsense. They're referencing things that actually happened. And
Right.
when these changes initially started back in the day, we actually came in contact with a mutual friend,
Mhm.
someone who knows Phil, and uh, from what Phil had said in a video or something, I can barely remember it, but the friend who has actually been on the chopping block before as a guest, um, we made a video reacting to that, and he contacted us and basically told us, hey, I think you're getting the wrong idea about me. And he actually came on the show, and we ended up being pretty good friends. And after
Right.
that, you and I were kind of like, okay, well, Phil's saying one thing in a video, and this guy's telling us, no, that's not exactly the case. So immediately with that, we were
Right.
kind of suspicious. And now, as you kind of look back at how things have turned out, it's a stark contrast, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just like the old saying goes, everything comes out in the wash because, like, at first, you know, like you were talking about, there's two sides to every story. And, we just kept, it neutral. And we heard, Phil's side, and then we heard, our mutual friend's side. And then, but as the years went on, we just kind of got to see that side of Phil, that he was talking about just kind of shine through. And it does shine through just how things, like you were talking about, have transpired throughout the years. I mean, you see this guy, who was at his prime, and now all of a sudden he's just taking this tremendous downfall. It's a
Yeah,
sad trend of things, that's
yeah,
for sure, man.
it's very sad, and it's one of those things where, on the one hand, you could say, well, he's survived, he's still in the YouTube gaming community, but the more you think about it, it's like maybe that's the problem.
Maybe.
Um, it seems something now. It seems kind of like a situation where, yes, he is kind of soldiering on, but you hear about all these things that have happened to him, and now his reputation is in really bad shape, and apparently he's
Right.
having, he makes frequent videos talking about trouble with finances, and then you find out that. People in his life are separating from him. We talked about Rambo was one of the people who made a video, and when we watched that video with what John Rambo and Howard were saying, we immediately said that's what our friend had said. And we're like, so now
Right.
it's kind of starting to make sense. And it's like, I mean, we've all got certain quirks about our personalities and things that we need to work on. But I don't know, man. It
Right.
just seems like in a situation like this, it's just there's so much negativity going on, and it's going downhill so fast. It's like it's almost like call it a day in that regard. You know what I mean?
Right, because I mean, just like we were talking about, I mean, this is just not something that just popped out, like out of the blue. Like, just he started like just now doing bad, and I'll just go ahead and say it that way. It's been going on for what, about 4 or 5 years now, to
Yeah,
where,
it's
I mean,
just getting worse over time, man. Like some of the things now, like the things that are people are saying now and referencing things that really happened are a lot worse than what they used to say. And that being said, it's like I don't even want to know, how bad things are gonna get 5 years from now. So it's like, don't disappear from YouTube entirely. Still
right,
do something gaming related, but sort yourself out, man.
yeah,
Used to be the king. Get it together.
right, right. Well, and the thing about it is maybe, he needs to take this time, and in my personal opinion, this would probably humble him, and maybe later on down the line, he could just probably make a comeback. But at the same time, this is, if to make a comeback, he would have to be persistent at what he would do new and continue that trend for a while. But at the same time, do you think it's really worth it? I mean, continuing on YouTube, do you think it's worth it?
I don't know, man. I think it's one of those things where he'd probably be better off doing something else for a while.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
if he did come back, it's like maybe take a break and find something else to do, because you can get in those situations where you can keep things going, but it's like the cost of doing so. What it does to your mental health and your
hmm,
relationships with other people and your finances. It's no good.
right, exactly.